Hey, what's up, all you witches and wizards out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din coming at you with another episode review of The Owl House. This time it's episode 11 titled Sense and Insensitivity. As we open up with the owl lady trying to sell her wares, unfortunately she finds she's unable to, as it is the annual book fair, which Luz is all too excited for because there's a writing competition. Naturally, Ida could care less, but when Luz sees there's a popular author who was able to gain their fame through the writing competition, Luz immediately wants to enter, with King wanting to enter as well because of the fame that comes with it. Of course, vanity and all that good stuff. Meanwhile, Ida sees that she's starting to gain more age from her curse, which I didn't actually think was a thing. It's just like apparently she's supposed to be a little bit more youthful like her sister, but because of her curse, it's making her appear older than she actually is. Which I was kind of questioning because of the difference in appearance than her and her younger sister, I think it is. Speaking of which, she actually ends up coming across Lilith, who is who has gained a map to this bloom of eternal youth, which she intends to hand over to Emperor Bellows. But Ida jumps in on this as well, thinking that it might be able to help her with her cursed condition. Meanwhile, we have Luz and King planning their big novel, with King having more violent inclinations towards the book, whereas Luz has a more typical writing style, and they actually end up blending it together, creating their own story. But when Luz goes off to see Ida, King takes the reins. And Ida says that she'll be away for a few days, and when Luz pops back, she finds that King has completely taken over the book, much to Luz's dismay. But King goes forward with it, trying to get some people to read it, coming across this one guy, Pignette, who was with the author of during from the writing competition. He reads over King's book and actually has King sign a deal for him to publish King's book, which comes out and it is a massive success, gaining King notoriety far and wide. Meanwhile, Ida manages to make her way towards the bloom of eternal youth, only to come across her sister, with them both racing towards the bloom. Meanwhile, King comes to Luz to invite her to his book signing, but Luz mostly ignores him because he basically overwrit everything, and she's kind of a little bit mad at him because she completely disregarded her feelings towards everything. But at the book signing, which of course is still a massive success, when King hands over his ideas for the sequel, Pignette completely dismisses it, seeing it as a joke and saying that it's awful. And King realizes that the only reason he was actually able to write such a good story is because he had Luz's story to bounce off of. And he ultimately begs her to help him write a better story. But Luz completely dismisses him, feeling hurt that he would basically just try to use her like this. But Pignette overhears the entire situation. Meanwhile, as Lilith winds up in a little bit of trouble, Ida manages to get her out of it, and they actually start to kind of bond over you know, their sisterhood, basically. It's just like they've never truly hated each other. In fact, they were the best of friends back when they were younger. And so those feelings start to kind of well up as they're on this little adventure. And as they come across the bloom of eternal youth and Ada tries to claim it for her own, ultimately it ends up disappearing, with the guy who sent them on this mission coming out of the shadows, laughing menacingly. Speaking of menacing, Luz ends up being cornered by some of Pignette's men, and at the announcement for King's new book, He ultimately tries to own up to Pignette that he can't write without Luz, only for Pignette to reveal that he's trapped Luz in a ever-shrinking box in order to get both her and King to write another novel, with King being forced into the box because of the contract that he signed, showing that it squeezes down anyone who fails Pignette into this miniature cube-like state. But during the course of them being locked in, Luz kind of tells King that, ultimately she just wanted to have fun with her friend. But King admits that, well, while Luz has her witch training that she's actually getting better at, King really doesn't have anything else. And the moment there was success to be seen, he completely took the reins, and he apologizes for that. And Luz kind of accepts this apology, ultimately not wanting to stay mad at King, but also kind of understanding where he's coming from. Simply just wanting to be able to have fun with King because she cares about him. But they come up with a plan. Meanwhile, Ida and Lilith end up being none too impressed by the monster trying to intimidate them, intimidating him in turn. All powerful witches and all that good stuff. Meanwhile, Luz and King share a makeshift novel with Pignette, which actually has a light spell at the very end of the page, which Luz activates through a hole in the box. And with Pignette blinded, King captures him with his scarf. Luz grabs Pignette's contract, and she tears it up, freeing both her and King. As King frees all the inhabitants of Pignette's cube world, basically, playing with blocks and all that. Get some Legos, dude. Jesus. Um, Pignette goes on the warpath, only for Tiny Nose to come busting in, trying to solicit her new book. And as Pignette basically just reads it in exasperation just to get her out of there, he actually falls in love with her novel, demanding to be the one to publish it. And with all of King's fame basically being handed over to Tiny Nose, while he's angry that she is being handed over, Lou sees this up as an opportunity to get out of Dodge. Meanwhile, Lilith and Ida manage to handily beat up the monster, with them all actually kind of bonding for a moment, with Lilith admitting that she actually just wants Ida to come with her, to join the Emperor's Coven, to hopefully find a way to reverse the curse, showing that ultimately she's not a terrible person and she actually does care about her sister deep down. Despite everything that we've seen. It starts to feel like she really genuinely wants to do something nice for her sister, but ultimately Ida still declines, not wanting to be allied with the Emperor, but still being happy that she was able to share such a nice, tender moment with her sister, which it's so sweet. It's beautiful, and it really kind of dispels any ill will I could have possibly had towards Lilith, because you don't have a genuine moment between these two without it actually leading to something positive down the line. So, as Ida finally makes her way back to her home after a few days out, she thinks about grabbing a glass of blood and reading a good book, which Luz and King completely recoil at, and then she discovers King's book on the coffee table, thus ending our episode. A fun little episode, but I really did love the B story of Ida and her sister. It was beautiful, it was sweet, it was nice, it was charming, and I really hope to see more of it in the future. If nothing else, it goes to show that Lilith, deep down, is a good person, and someone worthy of the love and care that Ida once had for her. You ultimately, family shows their true colors in times of crisis. And with the crisis that Ida is going through, Lilith showed that she's someone that, you know, still cares for Ida and is still willing to be there for the sister who used to protect her once upon a time. But tell me your thoughts on this episode in the comments section below. What did you think about King becoming a best-selling author? What did you think about the bond between Lilith and Ida? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you feel that ultimately it just will sting even more when Lilith betrays Ida in the end? Everything in the comment section below. If you like this video, leave me a like or a dislike depending on how you felt. Subscribe and hit the bell icon, that way you never miss out on another Owl House episode review. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye bye.